you can actually see the energy vibrating. It's very small. Some people can see it larger. The point being is there's energy moving through us.
Mm-hmm.
And that energy is moving through us physically, through our blood channels, through our acupuncture channels, through all of the different mechanisms, the energy systems that the body has. Also, at the emotional level, at the thought level, this energy is moving through. And so, right, emotions,
Yeah.
energy
In
in
motion.
motion.
Yeah.
So when we're feeling an emotion, often we may get stuck thinking this is forever, but remember our cue, energy is always moving.
Let's learn how our next guest gets up, dress up, and show up on purpose. Enjoy the episode. Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Lunide Lewis, and today it's an honor to introduce a very special man to the show, Darren Beckett. He is a certified wellness expert who envisions a new culture of well being where people are both present in the health process and in their futures. He has helped hundreds of people to better their lives by applying his decades of worth of experience and expertise in exercise, physiology, meditation, and mindfulness. Darren believes in a fun and playful approach to health and wellness that leverages science and develop methodologies for optimal and consistent results. We are all about the science here at Best Morning Routine, so I am excited to have you on board to kind of share that data and apply how the holistic approach to health is super important now. So before we get into all that, Darren, I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and your journey here thus far.
Awesome, Lunid. Really awesome to be on your show. And just a little background about me, born and raised in Los Angeles, and had this very unique upbringing. Well, we all have unique upbringings, but my unique upbringing was that my father was a martial artist. He liked to do the fighting thing. And my mother actually taught me how to play baseball. And my beautiful brother, who was born 4 years after me, was born with a genetic disorder that helped me to uncover a lot of these gifts that at a younger age than maybe I would have otherwise. So with the experience of the body, the physiology through martial arts, and then also the kind of sports Western version of climbing the ladder of baseball, and okay, what position do you want to take this to college? And then for my brother, this experience of needing to mediate
Mm-hmm.
conflict in a more productive way. And so this kind of triage of experience lended me to getting really interested in well-being topics at a young age, looking for alternative ways to keep myself fit, keep myself injury-free, keep
Yeah.
myself emotionally stable, and be able to be also a good student, someone who I've always loved. I always think of myself as like a side closet sociologist. I'm always looking at, what is the experience that we're having as a whole,
Yeah.
also as an individual, and where do those two meet? And for as a well-being coach, that's often where I'm helping people, is the space between I have too much information, it's too confusing, or my doctor's telling me something that I don't understand. And then on the other side, well, I'm not doing enough to produce a result. There's not enough energy moving forward. So my health is suffering, my relationships are suffering, there's just things aren't working. And so we got to kind of bring those two together.
Yeah.
And so my experiences, I got a degree in conflict mediation and organizational communication from Pepperdine University over a decade ago. And that experience also lended to wanting to work in the workplace, because this is where the majority of people need the most help.
Yeah.
And so how can I take these complex, subjects that I maybe love the PhD version, but for someone just starting or someone who is looking to increase their livelihood by just a little bit, they need to be able to get really clear information. So over the last decade, as a massage therapist, as a physiotherapist, I've worked with celebrities on set, on film sets. I've worked with Olympic athletes to rehab their injuries back to playing and performing. I teach kids how to skateboard. I teach some people who are seniors to enjoy their lives at no matter what age they're at. And so for me, the experience is how can I help? How can I serve? And it's focused around well-being.
Yeah, and you're meeting people where they're at is what I hear when you speak there. And it doesn't matter the age, the old, the young, you are able to relate to that. And how do you create that trait to be so relatable, right? To all people around, because it's not something that you're born with.
Yeah, I think, we all have a story, and my story, like I just shared, lended me to being okay with scenarios that maybe other people didn't want to go into. For a large part of my career, I had been seeing people in their homes.
Mhm.
I've even seen people on their deathbed. I've seen people who are just young and they're just full of innocence and curiosity. And I think, for me, I couldn't see myself being in a gym all the time. I couldn't see myself being in a therapist's office all the time because it didn't really meet, like I was meeting people in an environment where they couldn't even be their full selves. So I
Mhm.
wasn't seeing the whole picture. All right. And so my curiosity, having that innocence, of course, from that childlike perspective, but also having this curiosity about other people's experiences. I want to know their story. I want to know what makes them unique. It's not these exercises equals this result. It's who you are and what do you want to do with that, and how does that affect you in your life? Does that affect your job? Or affect your relationships? When I was first working as a personal trainer, and these people would be coming to me with these challenges, and I quickly realized I can't help this person fully, because what they're asking me to do is really help change their life, and what I'm qualified to do is help them be maybe like less pain in their shoulder.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so there had to be this other side that I went to, which is that curiosity, wanting to know their story, and having the tools like yourself as a psychologist, being able to see it from a perspective that's much wider than a specialist might be. And that's also, what I also believe is wellness coaching. It's kind of this we're in this beginning stages of a new phenomenon, a new type of career where we're translating the health world to everyday people.
Yeah, yeah, and looking at the holistic approach is crucial now, because you're right. They come to you what they think they want, but you got to give them what they need. And a lot of the time
Absolutely.
is there is a eating disorder because of something that's going psychological, for something
Yes,
that is mentally happening, some blockage of some sort, or some trauma, and eating
exactly.
or some type of pain. And so for you to have to be discerned enough to notice that right off the bat, and figure out, okay, how can we create a holistic approach to heal the whole being, the mind, body, and spirit, right? The mind, body, and soul. And so tell us a little bit about what your process looks like and how you serve the clients.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, like I said before, it starts with the understanding their story.
Yeah.
So there's no cookie cutter approach here. It's, we really have to, it doesn't have to be super deep, but we have to kind of understand, I need to get a better picture of what this person is doing in their life. And then also, what are their goals? And often it's helping people to upgrade their goals first,
Mhm.
because usually the goals that we start with are limited because, well, we wouldn't know otherwise. I mean, having had worked with thousands of people, everyone has a different way, a different flavor of wanting a certain thing, whether it's
Yeah.
weight loss, or it's, heal my gut, or it's help my mind stop, right? Those aren't really goals. Those are really kind of like the starting points. And so I like to encourage people to take that next step forward and start asking ourselves better questions. And what we find in that process is, oh, okay, maybe weight loss isn't my goal, but weight loss is something that happens by me reaching my goal, right?
Yeah.
It's a happenstance. I believe that when I'm helping people, I need to also work with what is going to keep them consistent, right? This would be a fun process. This isn't the military. We're not trying to just like burn a ton of calories and get to a role so that way we can do it all over again in another few years. This is about really taking the time to understand ourselves in that process. And so that's what I can do as we journey along. So whether that person is looking for, say, hey, I need a workout routine that fits me. Okay, great. What are you doing currently? What are your goals, that space? And then start to flavor in, hey, when you recover better, your workouts are better. When you are eating with a little bit more mindfulness, a little bit more curiosity, a little
Yeah.
bit more like, hey, I want to make my own meals, or here's how to make my own meals. Here's some meals that might be good for that person. That's going to help everything out. It's going to help round out those sharp corners. And so that's that process that I'm in with clients consistently, is not one session, we're done, it's over, your life is amazing. I wish that were the case. I tried to search for that when I was younger, and I realized that the importance of keeping people consistent, making it fun. And like I said, being able to say, hey, great, you're a different person than you were 2 weeks ago when we started. We need to reevaluate what is going on and how you're doing it. And that's a consistent upgrading process that, in my opinion, never ends, because I'm always doing it. And it's important that, people realize that this is something that they're journeying with. And it's like, I call it, it's longevity, right? But
Yeah.
longevity for me isn't just living a long life. Longevity is living every day with the energy to have, the vitality to make it to that space, but making it every day a quality experience.
Yeah.
I want to forego today just for tomorrow, live for the present, and keeping people in that space.
And then having that rich life, right? That life is filled with joy. You're present in the moment, and it's not just about wealth. And you said
Yeah,
quite a bit earlier, and I want to unpack one piece of it really briefly. It's a lifestyle change. It has to be looked at as lifestyle change, in that it's a journey and not so much the end goal or the destination. And so I've, with even with habits, right? You have to optimize for the starting line, not so much the end in mind, because the end goal seems so overwhelming at first.
yeah.
It just seems like way too much to actually get going, and the brain goes on autopilot and it wants to protect you, so you don't even start. But if you were
Yeah,
to be able to break it down and says, I'm just going to start with 2 minutes today, and then that's going to increase over the next day, and so on and so forth, until
yes,
eventually you have a process in place, you have a habit in place, or you have the
it's
the
additive.
healthy
Exactly.
behaviors, yeah, in place for you to follow suit. And so what you said earlier is, you really got to look at the lifestyle change per se, and that is not a quick fix.
Yeah, and well, and to be honest, in this place, there's a conundrum, which is, and we look at well-being articles all across the web. Well-being and wellness is a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and so there's this kind of concept that we have to work through around being with that process
Mhm.
and being able to notice where we're at individually, and then ground ourselves in what we accomplished, ground ourselves in the help that we're asking for to move
Mhm.
forward in life. And that when this energy is moving, it's not stopping. So like when your life starts to become better, you want more of it.
Yeah.
You want to keep going. So then, like, let's not make it a candy store where we're just getting sugar high off of well-being. Find what works, what grounds, keep it in reality as well.
Mhm.
And that's partly what a well-being coach can do, is to be able to suss out, hey, what is a grounded practice, and maybe that's unique to that person as well.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier that struck me, and it struck me as keystone habits, right? When you change one area of your life, it kind of affects other areas. So tell us about some of the keystone habits, and a couple of them is like morning routine, eating dinner with your family, eating
Yeah.
mindfully. Those are
Yes.
like keystone habits where you start doing them, it starts affecting other areas of your life. Tell us how you incorporate that in the plan you put together for your clients.
Yeah. So I mean, we're human, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to move, you
Yep.
got to eat, you got to recover, Hopefully you're into having good relationships. Some
Yeah.
people, like they don't want to go. That's totally cool. And then, you're going to want to serve at some level, right? The wealthiest people in the world, what's next, is like, you got to serve because,
Mhm.
and we can do that at any level. I'm just using that as an example because that's where we see it most often, but it's being able to have those things in there. So just like I was saying earlier, sometimes it seems like these 5 things are remedial. Like, oh, you want me to stretch? Oh, you want me to eat greens? You want me to drink a smoothie? You want me to like relax? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I have to work. I have things to do. I have to be fast with my food. And I want a quick, hard workout at my gym. Okay, great. But those are the things that we need to make our better habits, right? So it's like, every morning I'm getting up. Sometimes I just fall out of bed onto the foam roll and I'm just rolling my back, rolling, my
Mhm.
legs,
Yeah.
getting going. I'm yawning, I'm opening up my energies. I'm starting to think about my day. Great. Okay. I'm being mindful about what my thoughts are bringing in. Maybe there's some anxiety about a future project or a future conversation I have to have. Okay, great. Okay, now I'm going into a meditation. So now I'm in a meditative process. I may take that meditative process into things that I have to do to get ready, like brush my teeth, make a coffee, make a tea, make a little meal,
Yeah.
right? It's about taking the energy into that space. And that's what we're practicing with meditation practice, with mindfulness practice, is to be neutral to what's showing up. So
Mhm.
that way we can keep forward without that block, right? Where people get to that place and they're like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just kind of like stretching. It's like, boom, block. And then they stop doing it.
Yeah.
So think of these 5 things, right? The moving, the recovery, the eating. These are things that you have to do for the rest of your life. Wouldn't you want to do them well? And so, taking that time to then just, even if it's a few minutes on the foam roll, or, just getting a stretch in, maybe it's a small workout to pump you up, do as many push-ups until, you get too tired, right? It
Yeah.
gets the heart going, right? We don't have to make this such um, a, a pomp and circumstance thing. And so well-being, these are things that you want to do that are fun, playful, but also they're worth your time. They're worth your investment because your body is worth the investment.
Right. And the ton of the benefits that you get from it. It's all about monitoring the energy flow within us, right? Because we're a
Yes,
bundle of energy, and we need to be able to acknowledge that. And so when you feel stuck or blocked, there's a pinch to it. There's something that you need to
that's
address,
right.
and if you don't, you can't proceed. It's just like a clogged pipe. It's just to paint a
Got
vivid
to clean it
image.
out.
You
That's right.
gotta, you gotta, or you won't have a great day. You will be funky. You're gonna be in bad mood. And I want to get into
That's right.
energy with you right now because I know you have the science
Sure.
behind it, and I'm looking at you and see the lamp you have behind you. It looks like a Himalayan lamp, the
Yeah,
red
yeah.
one.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Mhm.
so let's tell us about energy and how we can prime our environment for the optimal energy. Like you have that lamp, you're surrounded by plants. I have plants around my house for that purpose as well.
Yeah.
I burn sage in the morning. So talk a little bit about
Yeah.
how environment affects our energy.
Great. I love this question. Thank you for asking, Lunide.
Mhm.
So, like, to start at the physics level, right? When we go down to the very, very smallest particles, things are moving all the time. So there's nothing that's stopped. We think it may be stopped, right? We may see a star in the sky, but what we don't realize maybe in that moment, and then maybe it kind of blows our mind, is that star is huge. It's
Yeah.
burning very bright. There's a lot of energy coming from it, and that energy can be felt here, right? We are seeing the energy with our
Mhm.
eyes. And actually, radioactive material is also flying across the solar system, flying across the universe.
Yeah.
So this is this basic concept of energy. At the very micro level, everything's moving, and at the very macro level, everything is moving. And so for the human, we are kind of in this between state where we are aware that these things are happening, but we have to kind of awaken ourselves to that space. So energy is this kind of mixture between consciousness and the energy in the universe that we consider, looking at a microscope, the electrons, the
Mhm.
quarks, all the different molecules.
Yeah.
So humans are fantastic in that we have this ability to actually move this energy in, quite simply, with our physical body. If I take my hands and I rub them together as fast as I can for a few seconds. And then I let go. There's a little heat in my hands. There's a little vibration. And if we tune ourselves to this energy often enough and we listen from that neutral space, you can actually see the energy vibrating. It's very small. Some people can see it larger. But the point being is there's energy moving through us.
Mm-hmm.
And that energy is moving through us physically, through our blood channels, through our acupuncture channels, through all of the different mechanisms, the energy systems that the body has. Also, at the emotional level, at the thought level, this energy is moving through. And so, right, emotions,
Yeah.
energy in
Emotion.
motion.
Yeah.
So when we're feeling an emotion, often we may get stuck thinking this is forever, but remember our cue, energy is always moving. So what happens is if I'm feeling something, like if you watch a child and they're getting angry or they're sad, right? They may start crying, they may start laughing exuberantly, they may get angry. And we often think, oh, there's something wrong. What, how can I fix it?
Yeah.
Or why are they doing it, right? And it's they're moving the energy. And so the body is breathing deeper. There's heat going into the intercostiles. That heat is transferred into the bloodstream. It's alkalining the system. They're tearing out, from laughter or sadness. And right, there's this movement happening. And so energy in this moving structure is what we're working with. Now it's everywhere, but we're more conscious of it happening inside of us. And so being able to move energy that is not ours. And what I mean by this is you could imagine like a lint roller, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
humans are great lint rollers. And when we go around the day and we're doing our thing, and we're talking to our friends or we're talking to our coworkers or on the phone with the client, we are, by just being human and being on this beautiful planet together, we are sometimes picking up other people's lint or environmental lint, right? Like pollution. It may be in our field. It may be electromagnetic pollution. It may be the lint from food that's not processed, that's too
Yeah.
processed and not processed naturally. And so what we need to do is recognize that, okay, A, we're energy, B, energy is moving through us, and C, I'm in control, which means you have the option to peel off that sticker, throw it away, and move on with your day and your life.
Hmm.
And that's what these types of techniques that we see often used in shamanic ceremony, like
Mm-hmm.
sage or palo santo, or depending, you could use candles, or, creating a mood that's a presence, right? Plants absorb
Yeah.
CO2, and then they give us oxygen. That could be seen as an energy transfer, helping us to stay balanced. Because when we have a clean and pure, right? Like going into a closet and just knowing, hey, if I put that shirt on, this is how I'm going to feel. If I put those socks on, that's the day, right? It just makes things easier for you to show up in life as often as you can in the way that you want to. And so that's what I would say energy is today in this interview, is your presence, clearing it out, receiving the energy that you need to just be your best self.
Well put. Showing up, right? Doing what you need to do to show up every day your best self. And
That's
that
right.
means peeling away that layer of gunk. As a psychologist, it's always said that a psychologist needs a psychologist because we absorb that. You
Sure,
absorb other
empathic.
people's, yeah,
Absolutely.
we absorb it. We leave like the weight of the world is on our shoulders, and so we need to release that as well. We have to find healthy outlets to release that so that we don't take it on. It's inevitable. Like it's you're just
Yeah,
so we are energy, as you say. We're picking things up on our surrounding, the people that we talk to. People can feel your energy before you say a word.
it's true.
That's the powerful, that's powerful. The correlation there is really powerful. And so I wanna, you talked about getting up, and I always ask, how do you get up, dress up, and show up? So tell us how you get up and dress up and show up. What's your morning routine like? How do you peel, what do you do in the morning to peel away that energy so you can become, show up and do what you do and serve the way you do?
Yeah, well, a couple of things, right? It's been in me since I was young. If you looked at a feng shui chart of my childhood home, my brother and I shared the career center. So it was all about, being in the limelight, wanting to show. We had a big wall that was a mirror. And so we were constantly dancing in the mirror and looking at ourselves and all that stuff. And so this aspect of, okay, like part of my mission is to show up in this way. It's not for everyone. Not everyone needs to be in that space to be a helpful part to serve humanity. So it's like all acknowledging a little bit of that destiny. And then also I call it making the path in the forest. So this isn't something, and people always say, like, how do you stay so positive all the time? How are you, it's like, how are you so healthy all the time? Blah, blah, blah. You must be this, this, and this, and this. You must not eat any of this, this, and this. And it's about making a path in the jungle that is yours.
Yeah.
So like, I have people say, are you a vegan? I say, I'm a freegan. I'm free to eat whatever I want, but I want to be smart about it. I'm not just like free to eat, oh, whatever. It's like, okay, I know that if I eat these foods or I go and do this, there's going to be a reaction to it.
Yeah.
And if we're developing a path that we can see clearly for ourselves, and other people can also acknowledge that and help us to make that path, right? That's what coaches are there for. To then go, oh, when we start to make side trips off the path, we're like, wait, why is there a tree in front of my eye? Oh, I'm not on my path. Okay, get back on the path and then find that zone. Now, I think traditionally, especially what I grew up with in terms of like, hey, this is a routine that's supposed to be helpful, it became too militaristic for me. I have to do this every day in this way, or I'm not successful. I'm not going to do great on that test if I don't do this, 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 and this. And I don't actually believe that to be true. So, I mean, certainly I have my process, right? Like I described before. A lot of times out of bed, I'm on my foam roll or I'm stretching. I'm knowing I may go out. We have a beautiful deck with a little view. I'll do a little meditation, take a moment. I'm also checking in with my day because running a business, I can't just spend my whole day doing meditation.
Yeah.
I have clients to serve. I have projects that I'm working on. I have my newsletter, I have my content. And so I'm also checking in with my day. A great way that I do this is by, in meditation, imagining a big plate. Okay. And on this plate are the imaginary food that represents the things that I need to do today. And if my plate is too full, I have to kind of see, okay, well, my meat and potatoes for today is this interview with Lunide. Okay, great. So then what is going to support me to making the most out of that meat and potatoes moment? Okay, I'm going to need to stay hydrated, which means, okay, I want to be in a positive, atmosphere. I want to have my presence. And so I need to, okay, what do I need to do to get there today? Maybe I need to not do that errand because I want to make sure that I'm showing up in this way. So looking at my plate, maybe I need to fill my plate with more. Maybe I show up, my plate has nothing on it, and I'm so grateful. It gives me a chance to be with myself. Maybe take a moment to go surfing for a few hours, go on a hike, go on a walk. Maybe it's just meditate for that hour. So giving myself that chance, right? So I guess what I'm saying here is we're all going to have our unique ways, our tools. And as you're learning with these tools, you're digesting them and then assessing, okay, is this working in my life, right? 21 days is a really great way to try things out because we know by science, 21 days to deconstruct a habit, 21 days to build a habit. And so we can kind of work in this 3-week cycle where, okay, I'm trying out a new supplement. I'm trying out a new workout routine. I'm trying out a new meditation. Okay, well, a weekend, it's kind of crunchy. I'm not sure if I'm enjoying this. Okay, well, give it the next 2 weeks. Maybe something changes. Maybe the energy moves. And so being able to have kind of like, I call it my quiver, like being able to pull a quiver out and be like, oh, today was a mess. I just had so much back to back. I didn't even give myself a chance to eat. Okay, great. Where's that quiver? Hey, oh yeah, I remembered. I put a bar in my little merce. It's like a little satchel that I have when I'm going to clients and such. Oh, I remember I have that bar I saved for myself. Great. That's my energy. Great. And then hey, where am I going to go on the way home? I need to get a meal so that I'm hydrated for whatever's next.
Yeah.
So it's really about setting this whole thing up. And I got to say, it's fun because I created it. And other people have helped me to create it. They've helped me to recognize, hey, maybe you want to add this to your journey. Maybe you want to subtract that from your journey. But it's a process of engaging and moving and listening and learning.
Yeah, that exploration piece is very important because you're not a cookie cutter. So don't expect that what works for me and what works for Darren to work for you. You have to play with it and see what is essential for you. And also the thing about chronotypes, right? When's the best time to
Yeah.
wake up? When's the best time to go to sleep? Like that varies from person to person. And if you are inquisitive about finding that out, then it will be beneficial to.
Absolutely. There's a harmony here. My girlfriend
Mhm,
and I, we have different sleep schedules. I tend to go to bed fairly early.
mhm,
She tends to go to bed a little later. And, we're both entrepreneurs. And so we both have this open growth mindset. And that's also what we're taking in is it's okay.
yeah.
It doesn't need to be this specific way. There's actually beautiful harmony that can come out of having these differences than maybe other people have, and not trying to latch on to, well, that person is doing it this way and therefore it must be good for me. That's not true in my experience working with people and myself. It's more like I need to try it on, figure out, hey, maybe I need my own shirt, maybe I need my own hat, maybe I
Yeah.
need my own way of doing it.
Yeah. And to get there, Darren, and you can chime in, is there's got to be time spent alone. Just like meeting a new friend. When you want to learn about them, you spend time with them, you talk to them, you find out what their quirks are, what they like and don't like. And I think a lot of the time we spend, I would say, we need to spend some time alone, some time with ourselves to actually figure that out. To because the
Yeah.
body's gonna speak to us. The body's telling us what we need at any given time, but we don't listen. And so that's just the piece that is crucial, is that the quiet time, be it in meditation, in writing, in gratitude journaling. You need that space to hear it.
Yeah. I would say as a caveat to that, the hardest part I see people go through is when they want to be quiet, what happens is they're just too hard on themselves. Like our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts maybe are too harsh. And so that's where working, being gentle with yourself, this is where compassion, gratitude, these altruistic emotional, places that we can cultivate
Mm-hmm.
that help to buffer that initial reaction, like, oh, I go straight to the negative things about myself, as opposed to these are the things that are beneficial about what I'm doing, and here's how I can massage some of these things I may not like about myself in the moment. Because ultimately at our core, we are not anger, we are not doubt, and we are not fear. We are love, we are understanding, and we are aware. That's our core, that's our DNA, that's the energy that we were born with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm helping people to come back to is, when you're in your silence, even if the thoughts don't go away, you're still whole.
Yeah,
even
having
even
grace.
if you get angry, you're still on the right path. And that's what we got to do to keep ourselves consistent, so that we can find that yummy space where when we get angry with ourselves, we can laugh. When we feel sad, we can honor it. When we're feeling frustration, we can listen deeper and maybe understand why we're frustrated. And that can be greatly helpful on people's journey.
I agree. And having grace towards yourself, being kind towards yourself, practice loving kindness, towards yourself and other people. I agree. Our core, our default is love, kindness, but it's been jaded along the way. We've heard some stuff has been said to us and done that actually taint that purity. And it's
Yeah.
always, that's the challenge, is coming back. And that's what the things you just outlined is the reason to coming back to that, to bring you back to that space of holiness and purity, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
of that, bring you back home, per se.
Yes, yes, yes. Come back home to you.
Yeah, come back home to you. Darren, this has been fantastic. I Please tell us, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
Absolutely. So darrenbeckettwellness.com. I invite you to sign up for my newsletter, so that way you get all the updated information on a consistent basis, articles on well-being. It could be a video on how to work with a particular part of the body, the shoulder, the knees, the neck, areas that we all need to be worked on, stretches. Also, I send out meditations. And if you'd like to schedule a personal session, or a consult, I'm happy to give your listeners a 15-minute consult to just help me understand how I can be of better service to them. So yeah, DarrenBeckettWellness.com to sign up for the newsletter and or to get in touch with me.
Yes, thank you for that discount. We'll definitely showcase that. I love the holistic approach that you bring on, Darren. Thank you so much for sharing it and giving us the
Thank you, Lunide.
insight. Yeah, on a different way of looking at it. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's been so fun to be with you all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please comment and tell us what was your favorite part, your favorite habit that you are going to try out for yourself today. Comment below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you at the top of your best morning routine ever. Stay blessed.